Hey, folks, difficult news today. I am just learning about the passing of actor Fred Ward. Uh, he has been in so many movies that I've really loved that were really, just fun films, fun popcorn type films that I really, really enjoyed growing up. And so I thought, you know what we could do? We could take the next, I don't know, however long people still want to visit about Fred and remember Fred, we could take a little time and talk about the actor and the legacy, his work that he's left behind. So, first, let me just kind of cover the details that we know right now. And let me go over to CNN for that. There we go. So, the headline that just broke a couple of hours ago is that Fred Ward, and yeah, they attribute the Fred Ward, the actor who was in The Right Stuff and Shortcuts, both fine movies, but not the movies that I loved. Dead at 79. The details are right now kind of sketchy. They're not saying a lot other than he died on May 8th. So this is a while ago. We're the 13th, 5 days ago, and no cause of death is being provided right now. So, and then they go in and talk about some of his movies that he was in. First major role was in Escape from Alcatraz with Clint Eastwood. Of course, he was in The Right Stuff. But you know what? I'd love to talk about the movies that were most important to me, and I'd love to get your comments as well in terms of your memories. What was most important to you? One other thing that's important to say is that he is survived by his wife, Marie Frances Ward, and his son. So let me go ahead and put some comments on screen, and then I'll talk about a little bit about my memories. So I'm going to go ahead and right now we'll take that. That's a great picture of Fred, though. But I'm going to go ahead and take it off screen. That's from a movie called Henry and June. Saw it once. Again, not my favorite Fred Ward movie, but I know he got critical accolades for that film. So let's go full screen for a minute here. And later on, we'll go over to Twitter and see what Twitter's saying as well. But right now, I want to go ahead and highlight what you guys are saying. Joe Anderson, prayers for Fred and his family. Mark Burchett says Remo Williams. Steve Keys says rest in peace, Fred. McGanahan Sky Jellyfetty says Fred Ward was born the same exact day as my dad. How about that? Justin says Tremors and Southern Comfort. My heart hurts today. Mr. Williams says rest in peace, Fred. Dodge Old School, there we go. Dodge Old School 1972 says rest in peace, Fred Ward. Joe Kelly says Remo Williams, based on the Destroyer series, absolutely, that long-running paperback series, had over 100 different installments. I did not know that. Thanks for sharing that, Joe. Simmons Project Presents, rest in peace. Mark Burchett, rest in peace. Yes, The Right Stuff, Thrash Pondo Ponds, my guest on last night's live stream. And Cast a Deadly Spell. Skip Rock Jr. says, I know Fred from Naked Gun 33 and a third, The Final Insult, and Joe Dirt. Corky Duke says, Escape from Alcatraz and Thunderheart. More rest in peace for Fred. Paul Vincent says, oh no, not Fred Ward. And the Celebrity Juicer points out that, yeah, he was in The Right Stuff. Mark Burchett mentions Tremors. More rest in peace. Great comments, one and all. So let me share a few of my thoughts real quick here. So the movie that I first remember Fred Ward in was a 1982 film. I don't know if anyone else, no one's mentioned it yet, but I don't know if anyone else has seen this movie. It was co-written by Michael Nesmith, he of the Monkees, right? And all the music in this movie was composed by Michael Nesmith as well. And so I was all in just because of that. But this movie's a time travel movie, and I love time travel movies. If you get a chance to see Timerider, I would highly recommend it. Now, I think probably the next movie that I remember him in was this thing, Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins. It's already been mentioned. that this movie was based on the Destroyer novel series. And as has already been mentioned, over 100 different books. I was hopeful. I was extremely hopeful that we were going to see a Remo Williams movie series, but what we got instead was just one fun flick that played on HBO all the time in the late 80s. And that's really where I developed a love for it. I have a friend, Scott Barnes, who lists that as one of his like top 5 films of all time. So, and then another fun B movie, kind of like Remo Williams, was this thing, Tremors, with Kevin Bacon. And just, this was a fun movie, so well made, and Fred was so darn good in it. Now, I know we could talk about The Right Stuff, and we can talk about Shortcuts, and we can talk about Henry and June, but those 3 movies, if, you know, those are the 3 movies that made Fred Ward a special actor for me. So again, for folks that are arriving a bit late, Fred, we have received an announcement, and I can go ahead and share the CNN screen again. You know what I'm doing? Actually, I'll go over to Twitter. Let's share the Twitter screen. And there we go. That Fred Ward has died at the age of 79. This is, I'm sharing right now, Variety's tweet. They have confirmed this as well. It's coming from his publicist. The interesting thing is that there are no details around his death right now, and maybe we don't need those details, but they're also saying that he actually passed away about five days ago on the 8th. So scrolling through here, it looks like we're getting the basics. Oh, my friend Lydia Cornell. You guys remember her from Too Close for Comfort? Let me go ahead and let's zoom this up a little bit so we can all see it. Lydia Cornell says, rest in peace, Fred Ward, a great character actor or journeyman actor who possessed my favorite quality, humility. He didn't seem to have a puffed up ego. He will be missed. That's a great comment from Lydia. We'll look at some more tweets in just a little bit, but I want to get to your comments as well. So let me go back here. We're going to start right here with Michael Cribb's comment. He says, Remo was the best, a great actor that will be missed by many. Clarence Nichols said, my guy, Fred Ward. Tremors, Escape from Alcatraz, what a sad day. Sakina McMurrin says, I loved him. And Tremors, McGanahan, Sky Jellyfetti says, Michael Nesmith was also born on December 30th, 1942. Paul Vincent points out Uncommon Valor, and Omar says, love the bike in Timerider. Der Magnus says he was great even in Southern Comfort. Thrash Pondo's asking if I saw Timerider in theaters, I think. And the answer is yes, I did. Corky Duke says, what was that 80s flick where he played a wisecracking dad? I'm not sure. Let's see if the folks in the chat can answer that question. The Northeast AI says, the one and only Remo Williams. Dorothea Walker says, Tremors and Timeriders is the only one I can remember him in. Of course, I am in a brain fog today. Prayers for his family and friends in this time of sadness. Let's see what else we got here. Scott Barnes, there he is, my buddy Scott Barnes. I mentioned you earlier in the live stream, Scott. An all-time favorite movie of yours. Love the books. Thanks for sharing that. Dodge Old School 1972 says, Secret Admirer. Yes, that was the... I've seen that with C. Thomas Howell, right? Corky Duke, Secret Admirer. Rome Ticklin says, liked Fred in Tremors and Secret Admirer. I've got to keep an eye out for the bots. Bots love to attack these live streams. Says Isaac Allerton says, rest in peace, Fred. You brought smiles to me. Timerider was reviewed by Robin Bells. Love Tremors 1 and 2. Thank you for telling me about this. You're very welcome. I wish it were better news. I'd much prefer to talk about Fred Ward's next project, but, you know, I'm sure he was in a state of semi-retirement at this point at age 79. Again, for those folks who are just joining, we'll go into more details in just a little bit, but actor Fred Ward has passed away at the age of 79. He actually passed away 5 days ago on the 8th of May, according to the CNN article that I read earlier. Jay-Z says, read or watched Remo Williams' The Adventure Begins like 100 times. I think we all did. It was on HBO so much during the late 80s. At least that's where I saw it. Nate D, I always liked Fred. Omad Omar says, never saw Tremors. You should. That is a fine B-movie film. It's really wonderful. Art Deco 101010 says he was great in Road Trip. Scott Barnes says, rest in peace, Fred Ward. Sergio Boner Staboni says, what? Yeah, bad news today. Jay-Z says, we've been waiting for the sequel for 40 years. Yeah, me too. It says The Adventure Begins. We were waiting for more Remo Williams. Thrash Pondo says, do I remember Lydia Cornell? Yeah, how can we forget? Superfan John Collins says, hi, Dave. How are you doing? I'm excited about next week. I am as well, John Collins. Today we're talking about actor Fred Ward, who has just passed away. But for those folks that are regular viewers of the channel, I'm going to have John on my live stream next Thursday, and we're going to talk about his favorite TV shows and movies, as well as some things that he's doing that definitely deserve some recognition. Justin says, Lydia is my friend on Twitter. She's awesome and very down to earth. Absolutely. Lydia Cornell is awesome. And Jay-Z points out that today is Friday the 13th, so what do we expect? Yeah, it kind of sucks. Henry in June is Sergio Boner Staboni says, and then we've got some comments in Italian, and I cannot read them, but it looks to me like they're muy simpatico. That's Spanish. And so we'll put them on the screen for just a minute. Thank you for adding your thoughts, Luca. Mike Osra says, God be with you. Loved Remo Williams movie. Get well soon. Unfortunately, he has passed on and will not be recovering, but we can remember and celebrate the life of Fred Ward, a wonderful, wonderful actor who passed away actually 5 days ago on the 8th of May. Cece LaPue says, say it ain't so. Fred was the best actor to portray Gus Grissom. Dorothy Walker says, sorry, gotta go. Yeah. Michael Hansen says, I enjoyed every single Fred Ward appearance. I agree with Lydia, a journeyman actor. Jay-Z says, Fred Ward was in Tremors with Kevin Bacon. Kevin was in Friday the 13th. Today is Friday the 13th. Weird Kevin Bacon connection. Absolutely. The Celebrity Juicer says he was great in The Player as well. You're very welcome, Ahmed. Karen Lee Maloney says, so sad to hear about Fred's passing. He was an incredible actor. His comedy was so amazing. Love him in Sweet Home Alabama. I'd forgotten about that. He was good in that. Paul Vincent says, rest in peace. More rest in peace from Karen Lee there. Al Bundy 59 says Tremors was one of his fave movies. Sakina McMurrin points out that Fred Ward's son, John Barenthal. I did not know that John Barenthal was Fred Ward's son. Holy cow. I love him in The Punisher and The Walking Dead. Yeah, talent does run in the family. I did not know that. That is interesting. Let's see. Keep moving. Superfan John Collins says, I remember Tremors and remember it being the first suspenseful movie that I could actually watch with my eyes open. What role did he play in that movie? I cannot remember the name of the character in that film at the moment. Thanks for asking, though, John. Perhaps someone else can answer that question. Otherwise, when we have a down moment, we'll go over to the internet and look that up for you. Subo23 says, so great as Gus Grissom in The Right Stuff. Absolutely. Absolutely. And Mark M says, great actor. He will be missed. Again, folks, for those folks just arriving, actor Fred Ward, his publicist announced today, has passed away. No details of his death have been provided at this time. However, we do know that he passed away 5 days ago on May 8th. So he did not pass away on Friday the 13th. Jack over at Crazy Hank TV says, love Fred Ward, died too young. Absolutely. Richard Lancel says, Earl in Tremors. His name was Earl, John. Thanks for that, Richard. Appreciate that. It's been a while since I've seen that movie. I need to go back and watch it again. Perhaps that's what I do this weekend as a way of celebrating the work of Fred Ward. Bruce Fye says Fred played Keanu Reeves' dad in Prince of Pennsylvania. I've not seen that movie. I Am Awake says, I just found out. How did he pass? No details have been provided yet. What we know is he passed away 5 days ago, and it's just being announced today. Nikki Monty says, Naked Gun 33 and a half. Richard Lancel says, I loved him in Uncommon Valor. And then the Celebrity Juicer says what I was afraid was actually the truth, which was it would have been cool if John Barenthal had been Fred Ward's son. They actually have similar, I think they look kind of similar. I could believe that, but they point out there, they say there's no relationship there. All right, we're all caught up in the comments. Again, for those folks that are just arriving, the news is from CNN, Variety, and other reputable sources that actor Fred Ward has passed away today, or not today, actually on May 8th. So we're learning about this 5 days late at the age of 79. I want to go over to Twitter again, and let's look at some of the things that we're seeing over there on Twitter. So we had Lydia's comment, but Alex Winter, actor Alex Winter says, rest in peace, Fred Ward. He always elevated the films he was in. That's a great picture. Diedrich Bader, Fred Ward was seemingly incapable of being inauthentic. His characters felt like they lived a full life and were only seeing a part of it, and that's a magic trick done right in front of you and luckily captured in light forever. It's a great comment. I really like Diedrich Bader. And I'm certainly going to miss Fred Ward. Matt Oswald says, rest in peace, Fred Ward. Elevated every movie he was in, but Miami Blues will always be the gold standard. Brilliant. Ben David Grabinski pointing out a number of different roles. Earl Bass was his name in Tremors. There's a potpourri of pictures. John Fugelsang said, my God, what an actor. I loved him as Gus Grissom in The Right Stuff, but his performance as Henry Miller in Henry and June is transcendent. John Squires, impossible to watch Tremors and not instantly fall in love with both Val and Earl. Fred Ward was such a pivotal aspect to the success of those first two movies. I always held out hope that he'd be back to battle the Graboids one more time. It's just not fully Tremors without him. And my friend Justin tweeted off, frack. I love Fred Ward ever since Tremors. He was great in Southern Comfort, too. All right, we're going to stop Twitter right there and get back to some comments. Again, I will share with you guys my top 3 Fred Ward movies real quick if I can. Starting with one of the, this is just such a fun movie. It's a movie that was co-written by Michael Nesmith. And the music in it's by Michael Nesmith. Yeah, Nez of the Monkees. It's called Timerider, and I love time travel movies. And I fell in love with this movie, saw it in the theater. I also have such fond memories of Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins, based on the Destroyer novels. And then, of course, I love Tremors. Probably very close to the perfect B movie, if you ask me. So those are my top 3 Fred Ward movies. I just love the actor. I agree with all of the comments that he elevated everything that he was ever in. Let's get back to some of your comments. Here we go. Jay-Z said Fred Ward was hilarious as Danny McBride's dad in 30 minutes or less. Stephanie Wilson says, I'm going to miss him. I loved him in everything he's ever been in. Hey there, Adrian. Scott Barnes said, thanks for the update. Sorry, I have to go. Hey, thanks for popping in, Scott. Always great to see you. Kelly Heath says, Remo Williams. Yeah, wonderful movie. Kimberly Wiederhold remembers him in Tremors. And Kelly Heath points out Southern Comfort. And he did return in Tremors 2. The Northeast AI says, I owned a video store in the 80s and 90s and remember exactly when I purchased Remo Williams from a B-movie distributor. The movie was always a recommendation of mine, and it was rented many times. That's awesome. You're welcome. Timerider was an amazing movie. Arturo Trevino says, who passed away? That we're talking about actor Fred Ward today, who it was just announced that he passed away, but he actually passed away at the age of 79, according to his publicist, on May 8th. So that would be Monday, right? Doing quick math. Oh, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. No, that's Sunday. All right. Jodo Fett says Tremors are the best. Timerider and Florida Straits. Yeah, good movies. Danny Staten says, I didn't get notification of this. It's because this was not a planned live stream. This is an emergency breaking news live stream, an opportunity for those of us that love the work of Fred Ward to get together and remember what he's done. Kimberly Wiederholt says, I like time travel movies, but that movie was bad. Oh, no, I loved it. We're just going to have to agree to disagree on that, Kimberly. Keith E. says, is it me or are all the actors and actresses of my youth passing away? Well, as we get older, my friend, I'm afraid they are starting to leave us. Let's see. Deborah Cooper says, I'm a little late. Howdy from Texas. Well, thanks for joining us. We are remembering the life of actor Fred Ward. Art Deco 101010 says Timerider is on YouTube. Cool. I might watch that this weekend to celebrate the life of Fred Ward and Tremors. I got plenty to do. Casual Kitty said, I really liked Cast a Deadly Spell. Made me want to see him play more noir detectives. Charlie Jordan said, did you do one on Naomi Judd? I did not. You know what? I didn't know even what to say. Truthfully. Maybe later on. That one still is just gut-wrenching for me. Fred Willard was a really fun actor, says Dutchmeister 1911. Always fun to watch. Tremors, Remo, Southern Comfort. And Danny Staten says, and my other phone died on Friday the 13th. Well, sorry to hear about the phone. Even more sorry to hear about Fred. Kimberly says the ending of Timerider ruined it for her. Movies can do that. I was willing to forgive it, but, it is sad when you love a movie all the way to the end and then the ending just kind of falls flat. He was indeed a guy's guy. Great comment, Sergio. Deborah Cooper says, remind me who Fred Ward is. Timerider, Remo Williams, Tremors 1 and 2, The Right Stuff, Henry and June. Let me put a picture on the screen of Fred Ward here's a Remo Williams picture that's fun. Maybe that helps. Or how about this Tremors picture? Hopefully that helps Deborah. Les Wadley says, sad to hear of his passing. Incredible talent. He had a thing where he never seemed like he was acting. Yes, that is a talent. Very few have that. A super sticker from Edward Hanna. How nice of you. Thank you so much. I appreciate the support, Edward. And Edward says, loved Fred in Big Business. Yeah, that was a fun movie too. I've only seen that once. Long time ago. Charlie Jordan says Remo was great. And Dutchmeister 1911 says The Right Stuff, yes. Yeah, Fred with Joel Grey in that photo. Absolutely. Kimberly Wiederholt says, never got to see Remo. Maybe later. Yeah. I saw it a bunch of times in the mid to late 80s on HBO. Custom God points out that he was also in The Crow Salvation. I'm betting if we go look at that IMDb filmography of Fred Ward, it is massive. Kurt Bayless says, loved him in Miami Blues. Sad, love to all from Berlin. And Panzer F4 or 4F2 says, I was hoping that Remo Williams would have been a TV series. I was just hoping that we would get more Remo Williams. The title was Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins, and yet that was it. I would have loved to have seen that been a movie series and then maybe transition to television afterwards. My buddy Robert Ponce, also known as Thrash Pondo Pond, says, I too saw Timeriders in the cinema. Yes. And Belinda Bauer, right, was in that, if I remember correctly. Fred Ward was one of my favorite actors. Loved his work in The Right Stuff. Rest in peace. That's from Mike RCA. He didn't do much TV. I think there was an occasional appearance, but for my memories are all based on television shows. That's a question from Les Wadley. And Kimberly Wiederholt says, I forgot he was in Big Business. For those folks that are arriving a bit late, let me go ahead and share my screen one more time. This is from CNN. And it's the headline is Fred Ward, The Right Stuff, and Shortcuts actor, dead at 79. I don't know. Those are great roles. But I think there's a lot of fans out there that remember him for other movies. And of course, they do go into those movies later as the article progresses. But the real meat of the articles here, there isn't a lot in terms of details right now that we've got. We know that he passed away. No details or no cause of death has been provided, but we know that he passed away actually on May 8th at the age of 79. It's a great article if you are in, it kind of goes through his filmography a little bit. I'm sure there will be better articles as people digest the information and reflect on his amazing film career. So I'll go ahead and take that off. And let's get back to some comments here. Walter Kazoil says, Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins. How I wish they did a series of them. I thought it was a very fun and enjoyable movie. May he rest in peace. MLM Moyer says, I liked Remo Williams. Deborah Cooper says, I know who he is. He played in Enough with J-Lo. Okay. I'm not familiar with that one. Thrash Pondo says, it's always bothered me that there weren't more adventures of Remo. I guess there had been attempts over the years. Akashic 813 says, loved Remo Williams and wish there'd been sequels made. Need to get around to reading the books. Yeah, there's plenty of material there. As was pointed out earlier, over 100 Destroyer novels. Did he play in Holes with Sigourney Weaver? He may have. That's another movie I've only seen once. Was he a deputy in that movie? Something like that. Lee Wadley said he must have been a great person. I don't remember hearing anything negative about him. And Kimberly Wiederhold says he was 79. I suspect that had something to do with it. Yeah, but you know what? People live well past 79 these days. And can I be bold enough to say that 79 is not that old these days, or relatively young still? Superfan John Collins says, hey, Dave, I'll talk to you soon, I'm sure. I'm going to go now. Watched last night's live stream. Great. Glad you're able to catch last night's live stream, and have a great day, John. Mark Bichette says, I got the book up to 152. There you go. Well over 100. Destroyer stories. Danny Staten says, I thought for sure Remo was going to be a series. I couldn't believe it never happened. Yeah, I got it. Books. Makes sense, Mark. Stephanie Wilson says, yes, there are no words regarding Ms. Judd. It's surreal. I think it's probably, a lot of it has to do with just it's anytime someone leaves us, it's sad. How Naomi left us is just absolutely heartbreaking. I just didn't have that was a sucker punch, a gut punch when I heard the news of her passing. And I didn't have it in me to do a live stream and talk about it for a half hour or so. Danny Staten says, my mom made it to 82, and rest in peace to your mother, Danny. I know that's a recent passing, and I know you're still feeling it. Deborah Cooper said 79 is considered middle-aged now that people are living longer. Cece LePew says it's strange, but I watched Remo Williams on Tubi on Monday. Well, now I know where I can get Timerider on YouTube and Remo Williams on Tubi. I just got to figure out where to watch Tremors. Yeah, sometimes folks leave us early as well. That's absolutely true, Kimberly. But I think as medicine and health sciences progress, people are living longer. Thomas Swafford says there was a Remo Williams pilot made. It's on YouTube. Ward didn't play Williams, but Gray was in it. Ward was also in, I think, Naked Gun 33 1/3, I believe. Tim Holt says, rest in peace, Fred. Neuro Blanco 88, Miami Blues. And Kimberly Wiederhold points out that her foster mother died at 81. Not murder. Pretty sure it doesn't sound like it was murder. Sakina McMurrin says 79 is young. Betty White died at nearly 100, and I think it was too soon. Robert Dragoff says, yes, rest in peace, Fred. All right, we're going to do one more peek over at Twitter, see what else is being said there. And go over there real quick. We've read that comment. Oh, what a picture. Love that picture. Tom Reagan's hat says, rest in peace, Fred Ward. Brilliant character actor. Absolutely. In the classic Tremors, he points out. Marshall Julius says, oh, heck no. Not Fred Ward. Love that guy. Right Stuff, Remo, Tremors, and so much more. Gone at 79. I think it's better for the picture to have as much of me as it can. Love it. Love it. Jake Tapper points out, rest in peace, Fred Ward. Oh, the dude was golden, man. Classic Film TV Cafe says, I'll miss Fred Ward. He was at his best when he could incorporate his subtle humor as he did in Tremors. His big shot at stardom as Remo Williams didn't work, but he was terrific in The Right Stuff. I would say Remo Williams worked. I love that movie. Simply that it didn't work truly, as in that it was not the box office success that it needed to be for that to become a film series. Critic Richard Roper says, Fred Ward was so good at playing the grizzled, tough guy, it's easy to lose sight of his versatility. He was the consummate character actor. Rest in peace, and thank you, good sir. That's awesome. Great tribute from Richard Roper. Bill Simmons says, fave Fred Ward performances of all time. Top 4, Secret Admirer, Tremors, Shortcuts, and Escape from Alcatraz. I'm going to give my top 3 as I have already, and those are Timerider, Remo Williams, and Tremors. All right, folks. For those folks that are just arriving again, heartbreaking news today that we've learned that actor Fred Ward has passed away at the age of 79. His actual date of passing was on May 8th, so we're learning about this a little bit late, but what a wonderful actor Fred Ward was. It's been said, I think, by numerous folks, both in comments and on Twitter, that he was an actor's actor, a journeyman actor. He elevated everything that he was in. Let me read a few more comments, and then I think we're going to go ahead and put this one to bed. And I'll just encourage folks to continue to leave your comments. In the comments section. Leave your thoughts, your reflections, your memories in the comments section. And let's continue to celebrate the legacy of Fred Ward. Edward Hanna points out, just remembered he was in Silkwood. Kimberly Wiederholt says it's always too soon. That's true. He was married. He leaves behind a wife of 27 years. And he did have kids. He has a son named Django. And let's see what else we got here. Deborah Cooper says, in the 1800s, you were lucky to make it to 45. Thank heavens we don't live in the 1800s. Mark M. says, my mom made it to 100 years, 2 months, 2 days. Today would have been her 104th birthday. Wow. It doesn't matter how long they live. When they're gone, we miss them. Edward Hanna says he was great in Silkwood. Continuing to read comments, John F. Kennedy says, enjoyed Fred Ward's Remo Williams. Saw that film more than once, as did I, my friend, as did I. Euphoria. Now, that's a Fred Ward movie I haven't seen. Clinton Titus says, I liked Fred. This is the first I've heard about this. And Danny leaves us with a bunch of emojis. Yeah, Laura, it is super sad news for sure. John F. Kennedy says, Remo Williams was supposed to have sequels. It was presented that way, but did not come to fruition. Yeah, I'm sure that was all based on box office results, right? Nero Blanco 88 says he was amazing. Secret Admirer and Miami Blues are his best, in my opinion. V-Man 358 says, sad. I hope his bags were packed. Laura Strobel says he played Henry Miller, the writer also in Henry and June with Uma Thurman. Yes, he did. You're very welcome, Mark. It's one of those cases where I wish I had different news to share. Bruce Fry says, check Fred out on YouTube in Prince of Pennsylvania. Will do. I have not seen that. Calvin Dodge says he was much better in Tremors than in Remo Williams. I love Tremors. Like I said earlier, I believe that Tremors was the perfect B movie. Perfect cast. The story was awesome. Everything about it. Christopher Baker drops in a super sticker and says the scene on the Empire State Building is a classic. Indeed, it is. And thank you for the super sticker. Thank you for your support. Deborah Cooper says, may he rest in peace. Also off script, Mickey Gilley passed. Yeah. Mickey Gilley passed away, probably been a couple weeks. Has it been a couple weeks ago now? And it did not receive a ton of coverage. I have never been a huge country music fan. And so I wanted to leave that to other folks to find ways to celebrate his amazing career. I was, as has been asked earlier about Naomi Judd, tempted to do something and to come on and maybe talk a little bit about it, celebrate and remember her life. But that one was just a tough one for me. Julio Velez said, great actor. We've lost so many. Dutchmeister 1911 says, do you have a Patreon account? I do not, but you can become a channel member right here on YouTube for the price of it's under $2 a month. And you get access to things like members only live streams, members only videos, and you get my undying appreciation. So if you're interested in doing that, I would truly appreciate it. Thank you for asking. Muragard Hissy Fit says, what? I read the news online every morning and this was not in the news today. I think it came out probably an hour and a half ago. Broke on Variety, broke on CNN that actor Fred Ward had passed away at the age of 79. Irish Eyes are smiling, says you have a great voice for narration, by the way. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I really love narrating those videos that I do on my channel. They're a lot of fun to put together. And, these live streams are a little bit tough when the news is raw and we're just hearing about it. But I love celebrating the lives of actors that have left us and, just the rich legacy, their work that they've left behind for us to enjoy. That has to be appreciated and their lives need to be celebrated. Thanks for the thumbs up, Danny. Truly appreciate that. Robert Dragoff says, I think that it's safe to say that our childhoods are dying in front of our eyes as we get older. That's absolutely a fact. Evan Cortez 2 says, I remember Remo Williams was filmed at the Statue of Liberty when it was being renovated. Yes, a snapshot in time in the history of New York. Christopher Baker says Remo had a campy feel to it. Like, I didn't think it was as campy as 60s Batman, but there was certainly some humor injected into it. Kimberly Wiederhold said studios never got behind the movie. Yes, it needed more studio support. Hey, Lance, good to have you with us here announcing the sad news of Remo Williams passing. He actually passed away 5 days ago on the 8th. Sean Innes says, no, Remo Williams, he was always a lot of fun. And Christopher Baker said, Secret Admirer is a great 80s teen comedy. Yeah, I'd forgotten that he was in that, but it was a fun comedy. And VMan358 drops a super sticker into the chat. Thank you so much for your support there. It's really appreciated. And he says, going to have a Tremors marathon in memory. So I'm going to do this weekend all three of my faves. I mentioned them earlier. If you're joining late, my favorite Fred Ward movies are Timerider, The Adventures of Lyle Swan, Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins, and of course Tremors, which I feel like is close to perfection when it comes to lower budget B movies. Love the cast, love that story. Had me on the edge of my seats the whole time. That was just a fun popcorn flick, and Fred was so darn good in it. Again, VMan358, thank you for your support. I'm not expecting super chats today. Thank you so much for doing it, though. John F. Kennedy says, yes, I saw the Statue of Liberty under its major reconstruction. A famous scene in Remo Williams. It was a memorable scene in the film during the 80s. Thanks for reminding me. Muragard Hissyfit says, loved Remo Williams, not only because of Fred, but because it brought us Kate McGrew. Okay, awesome. Christopher Baker says, how did I miss the news about Mickey Gilley? Yeah, it's been almost 2 weeks since we heard about Mickey's passing. And Thrash Pondo says, no one is truly dead until they are forgotten. Those are wise words. Wise word. He was great in The Right Stuff, Daryl. Thanks for pointing that out. Let's see. Daryl says, actors live on and on. Sean Innes says, by the way, Dave Sundstrom, I met J.A. Preston. We both favored this dive bar near the AFI campus and worked with one of the actors from Remo Williams. How cool is that? And Danny, Daily Dance Good Stuff says, who was the little Korean guy training Remo? Joel Grey, I believe, was the actor there. Let me quickly, I can look that up if you give me just a second. Remo Williams Adventure Begins. Joel Grey he played Chun. And let's see what else we got here. Comments are coming fast and furiously. 108 likes. Thank you so much, folks, for liking the video. For no other reason than when you click that like button, this will get the video in front of more people so that they can become aware of Fred's passing. Let's see. Christopher Baker says, don't forget Gus Grissom in The Right Stuff. Will not. We've talked a little bit about that role. A fantastic role. J. Robert Sergerson says, Godspeed, Fred, you had the right stuff. Hadley Scott McIntyre says, Remo was at the peak of my MA career. Okay. Robert Dragoff says, the reason Fred killed it as Gus Grissom is because Fred looks like Gus. Yeah. And let's see what else we got here. Christopher Baker answering Deborah Cooper says, all 4 members of Motley Crue are still alive somehow. Well, there you go. Sometimes, you know what, that's one of those unsolved mysteries that Leonard Nimoy, if he were still around, would explore more as to why those folks, they're just they're tenacious bunch, those guys in Motley Crue. Let's see. How did Fred pass? Alicia G is asking. Here's the thing. Right now, it's being reported by the major news outlets like Variety and CNN, but they only have the information that's been released by Fred's publicist, and they are not giving any sort of cause of death at this time, Alicia. What they're saying is that he actually passed away on the 8th of May, and they're providing his age. He was 79 years old, and he is being survived by his wife of 27 years as well as his son. Let's see. Mr. Led says, hey, Dave, just got in. Sad. Love Tremors. Yeah, with Reba and Kevin. Great movie. Let's see. Al Bundy 59 says, I did a search and it looks like Timerider. Yes, it's here on YouTube. I'm going to watch that this weekend. Shauna says, yes, really great role for Joel Grey, and certainly not. Yeah, the fact that he was playing an Asian character probably wouldn't be PC these days. Julio Valdez dropped in a super sticker. No comment, but a super sticker. I just thank you for the support. I really, really appreciate it. It's very kind of you. Certainly not expected, but very kind. Let's see. Story comic. My friend Barney says, I remember him also as Joe's dad in Joe Dirt. Yes, he was in Joe Dirt. That's a fun movie, too. I like that one a lot. From the Why Are They Still Alive department, after Motley Crue, Deborah Cooper points out that Keith Richards is still alive and that that's amazing in and of itself. I'm so glad they're survivors and they've managed to, I have to think in both cases. I know in the case of some of the members of Motley Crue, they've overcome a lot and are living better, more healthy lives now. And certainly I think that's probably the case with Keith as well. Desad 1776 says, Fred was elegant as Remo Williams. Well said. And I love the emoji work, Laura. Hadley Scott McIntyre says, I had forgotten about Tremors. It was crazy awesome, I think you meant to say there. And it was. Yes. Sean says he keeps expecting an obit for Gene Hackman. I saw a picture of him recently, though. He may be all right for a little bit longer. Let's keep our fingers crossed. John F. Kennedy says, don't forget Kent Mulgrew. Yes, was in Remo Williams. Absolutely. Mark Burchett says the books are deadly serious. Yes, they're way more serious than the movie. Thank you for this correction, Sakina. Fred's son is named Django. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. And let's see. Yes, my condolences as well. Talon0524 says the role that blew me away was in Tremors, and I also really enjoyed him in Uncommon Valor. Yeah, that was great, wasn't it? Tremors was so fantastic, and I enjoyed Uncommon Valor as well. It's possible, Jay-Z, that TMZ will break with cause of death or details. Personally, my thoughts are, as much as I would like to know, I'm curious. I want to know the reason why someone's passed away, why they left us at a relatively, I mean, he's not young, but a relatively young age of 79. Yeah, I get curious. I want to know. But truthfully, I guess I don't really want to know until the family's ready to tell me. Kimberly says Tremors was a fun movie to watch. Yes. What else do we got here? J. Robert Sergerson says Motley Crue can't be killed. Oh, fun comments here. Let's see. Sakina points out that she says, I love the mullet that he wore in Joe Dirt. Yeah. And Akashik 813 or Akashik 813 says, I forgot he was in Swing Shift. Yeah, with Goldie Hawn and Thunderheart. Hadley Scott McIntyre says they were a band, a group, a cohesive group sticking together in Tremors. Yeah, that's what made the movie so wonderful, was that storyline. Jay-Z says Remo Williams seems like an early inspiration for RoboCop and The Karate Kid. There's elements there, right? Daryl points out that he is survived by his wife of 27 years and son Django. Danny points out that he was in Joe Dirt as well. Yeah, I actually really like Joe Dirt, the original. There was a Joe Dirt 2 that I didn't think was all that great, but I enjoyed the original Joe Dirt. I mean, it's low-level comedy, lowbrow, right? But it was fun. Hadley Scott McIntyre says, I would practice like Remo when I used to train. Yes, Jimmy C's asking, the actor who played Remo Williams, Fred Ward, has passed away at the age of 79. Hey, folks, I'm going to wrap this thing up again. Appreciate all the comments. And I would appreciate if you went ahead and, for those folks that are catching this live stream on the replay, and you're no longer able to participate in the chat, if you would like to leave your thoughts, your reflections, your memories of Fred in the comment section, I truly would appreciate it. I would also appreciate it if you, gave the video, the live stream, a thumbs up. We're not giving a thumbs up to Fred's passing in any way, but the live stream itself, if it was informational, if it was useful to you, I would appreciate a thumbs up. And it's Friday the 13th, folks. Be careful out there and have a great day.